Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. This is message. Hi, Dan. All right.
Welcome to Tea Time with
Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. This is super recent. Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. I missed you guys. I really did. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. Seems like I haven't seen you guys in a long time. I know I did a show last week, but either way, welcome to Tea Time with Bunky. I appreciate all of you that have been tuning in. Tea Time with Bunky. You can catch Tea Time with Bunky every Thursday, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram on Thursdays at 7 p.m. I would like to thank all of my Tea Time with Bunky followers and subscribers that have been with me from the beginning. It's been 4 years. It's been a long 4 years, but we've been doing pretty good. So I thank you. Thank you for like, share, following, and subscribing and telling a friend all the great shows that we've had on here. As you know, Tea Time with Bunky is more than just a show. It's a safe and welcoming space where everyone can look at this, y'all. I got to read it. Everyone can share their stories and life journeys, from survivors and advocates to community leaders and everyday voices. No story is too big and no story is too small. That is Tea Time with Bunky. I would like to give a special shout out to Jerome Perry, of the Sullivan County chapter of the NAACP. He did an amazing job, him and the NAACP people, with the Juneteenth celebration that was held this Juneteenth at Morningside Park. It was really nice. I think it was one of the best ones around here. So then at that event, I met Judge Will Little, who is a tentative guest. I love seeing young Black men from our community that are doing big things. And he's a judge. Hey, Gabe, I see you. He's a judge and he's running for Supreme Court, y'all. Supreme Court in Albany. So he's coming on Tea Time. I think the election in November for him, but we don't vote for him because it's in Albany. So, but he'll be on. Mr. Roman E. Wilson. I met him in person. We had already set up an appearance for him on Tea Time. He is the director of the Human Rights Committee for Sullivan County, y'all. So he'll be on. Also, big things. I can't wait. I am so excited. And this week's primaries, the mayor-elect, is he elect? Y'all can correct me. Mayor-elect, I'm not sure. Zoran Mugami won the Democratic mayoral primary, who's already facing attacks, which is no surprise to us. He's already facing racial attacks, on his life, death threats. Andy Ogles of Tennessee sent a letter that was posted to the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. And this is the letter that this man wrote and felt so emboldened about it. And before I introduce my guest, I'm going to read this and I'm going to do a little 10-question thing. And then I'm going to bring my guest on and they can answer it. They can tell me what they think. So this dude, Andy, wrote an open letter, posted it to Zoran, called him Zoran, quotes, Little Mamandi is an anti-Semitic socialist communist who will destroy the great city of New York. He needs to be deported, which is why I am calling for him to be subjected to deportation proceedings. So this dude felt he had a right to say this about this man who won fair and square. New York voted for him. It's a new voice, it's a fresh face, but this man felt so beholden to say that because of the era that we're in right now. So that goes to these 10 questions I just want to ask, and I want for the people tuning in, just chime in or whatever before I bring my guests up. 10 signs that it's a cult. 10 signs. Absolute authoritarianism without accountability. Zero tolerance for criticism or questions. Unreasonable fears about outside world that often involve evil conspiracies and prosecutions. A belief that former followers are always wrong for leaving and there is never a legitimate reason for anyone else to leave. Hello, that's why they dog everybody out that leaves them. Abuse of members, yes. Records, books, and articles or programming the abuse of the leader of the group. Hello, yes. Project 2025. right there. Um, Followers feeling they are never good enough. Belief that the leader is right at all times, and a belief that the leader is exclusive means of knowing truth and giving validation. So, 10 things, signs that it's a cult. Y'all tell me what you think. But tonight's special guest, I diverse. Tonight's special guest, the hosts of What We Talking About podcast, straight out of 845, Gabriel and BlakOut are the unapologetic voices of What We Talking About podcast, and they are unapologetic. A raw, real, and cultural rooted show that makes serious waves in digital space. Known for their chemistry because they have the bomb chemistry, y'all. Y'all need to catch it. It's on Tuesday, 7 p.m. For their chemistry, insight, and unfiltered truth, this powerful duo dives into topics that matter: hip hop, sports, politics, current events, and real life. Hip hop isn't just a talking point, it's the heartbeat of their platform, and they use it as a lens to unpack the world around them. Catch their podcast live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, where they bring heat, humor, and hard hitting dialogue to the table. Now they're stepping into the tea time circle. Yeah. Get ready for this conversation. It's getting ready to be turned all the way up. I have Mr. King BlakOut. Welcome. And I have Mr. Gabe. I have you two together.
Hey, what's going on, my people?
Welcome to Tea Time with Bunky.
Thank you. I gotta say before we go any further, that was some description. I love that. You know what I'm saying? What you thought about that, Black?
I mean, wow. Bunky did your big one. Can you be our publicist, please?
You guys are amazing.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you.
I mean, your personalities are so different, but you complement each other. That's what I love about you guys. Mm-hmm. Like I watch you, and like I said, I only watch 2 podcasts. Mm-hmm. You guys in the studio with the Rec Boys, and
shout out.
Yeah, y'all keep me on my toes because I see what y'all be doing, all your little things. I'm like, oh, I gotta get a commercial. I gotta get someone on in, and then in the studio with all their backgrounds. So I need people like you in my life to keep me on my toes. You know what I'm saying? So tell us a little bit about you. Who wants to go first?
Oh, I'm just a formerly young black man, now middle-aged black man.
Okay.
I did some music. I do some music. What else can I say? Business owner. I do a little bit of everything, but I guess in the context of this show, the framework of this show, I am one half of the best duo in the one little strip between like Middletown and Beacon, like that one little strip of land. Just right there, we the best. Everywhere else we might not be, but just right there in that little strip.
But I haven't heard of anybody else.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
I don't know them either.
Oh.
But I'm King Black.
Now that strip. And
artist, producer, podcast host, a little bit of everything. Veteran, Minnesota, getting to a person. That's what we do.
And we're gonna talk about that too. Gabe.
Yo, I'm just your everyday neighborhood friendly Puerto Rican dude from around the way. You know what I mean? Working hard, married, love some hip hop, been in love with hip hop for a real long time. In different ways, you know, first as an artist, then a person who just wanted to critique it and listen to it, and then you know, wanting to help others do their thing, and that's kind of what brought about the whole Finally TV thing. So shout out to Finally TV out there. That's where you can catch the What We Talking About podcast every Tuesday, 7 p.m. And yeah, just you know, shout out to Angie, my other half. You know, she's my better
in the building.
Yeah, she's definitely my better half. You talk about we keep you going, you know, that's my rock right there, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to Angie. But yeah, no, I just, you know, hey, just a normal regular old dude from around the way that just had an idea and wanted to put together a little channel, and it didn't take long. It's probably like a year later. That's how you know, I met up with Black, and that, you know, it's been a wrap since then.
So how did y'all meet up? Was it like music connected or?
Shout out Jay Lene, right, Black?
Yes, Jay Lene. Absolutely.
You can tell that
where
part.
were we? We
PK somewhere.
we were at the Chance during the showcase, right?
Yeah, Chance or the room that's above the Chance.
We were at the Chance, the spot, the loft, whatever they call it.
The loft, yeah.
And boy, I didn't perform that night. Why were we there, Gabe?
I went to support Jay Lene in her showcase that she was putting on.
Right.
You were supposed to perform, but the night kind of got away from her, and like it didn't end up going up the way she wanted it to go down.
Yeah, that's right. It was taking. We went to the showcase. It was taking mad long.
Yeah,
it was. It was like from 7 to like midnight, and we still had like 30 people to go. It was,
that's ridiculous.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. And why is that? People weren't on time or something?
It wasn't her fault.
Yeah. When you're dealing with people who are not, I don't know, professional in this space, these are just people young, not even just age, but just young in the space that they're in, trying to kind of get heard and have their name out there. They don't handle it like an opportunity as you should. They kind of handle it like, I'm me, I made it, I'm gonna do a little show. 10 minutes, I'm gonna show up when I want to show up. You know what I mean? I'm gonna pull up with my friends. I'm gonna just be outside when it's my time to perform. So people not taking it and handle it like a business, like you should. That's all. But
that's why they need to handle it like church, where they ring the bell. If you don't show up on time, you don't go up.
Exactly, and that wasn't happening because these people pay money, I believe, and that's why we was trying to honor all the slots. But nonetheless, I was there supporting my girl and seeing what was going on, and then Gabe was there, and she made an introduction, and I said to Gabe, "Man, you really good at what you do, bro. We should lock in." I think Gabe asked you for an interview, honestly, right? And then I went to your show maybe a month later and did your Voice of the Valley.
Yeah, that you're leaving out the crucial part of that conversation. Why I even, you guys will feel like I'm an amazing person because I stayed talking to this dude. This dude, she introduces me to Black, right? Black stands up. What's up, G? Gives me a pound. He goes, yo, before we go any further, I just want to show you who you talking to right now.
I said that? That's crazy.
And pulled out his phone and his Instagram and showed me that he had at the time he had 15,000 followers.
He making me sound horrible. Don't listen to this guy.
He's like, I'm just telling you how it all started. Okay,
that's what happened.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Do you want to do an interview? And he was like, yeah. He's like, I peeped a couple that you did already. Because at that time, for him to have heard about it already was kind of cool because, he was my 8th episode of Voice of the Valley. You know what I'm saying? So I only had probably 5 episodes out at that time. You know what I mean? And he had already kind of peeped a couple of them. So that was kind of cool, And then he's right though. About probably a month later, we connected, and we had a dope conversation. That interview went well. It went well enough that we came back for a part 2, an album review. Yeah, I'll let you make me look a type of way, Black.
So we had this because I was rolling out my project. That was part of why I was there with Jay Lene that night. So we had this nice. He's like, yo, it'd be dope if we could, before you put the album out, go through it a little review, real time, track by track. I'm like, that's dope. Never did that before. So here we go. I get to a spot. This might have been a couple weeks later. And we doing a deep dive on the album. I mean, this is good primo kind of content. It was a really dope conversation where you give an insight into the thought process behind creation and so on and so forth. Kind of in depth, and I thought interesting.
What?
Why the next day Gabe tell me, yo, I lost all the footage?
So it was pre-recorded. It wasn't live.
No,
it was pre-recorded. Yeah. He was gonna edit it and do all the good fun stuff to it because we had to add in the songs and all that. So you couldn't really do that live.
Did you find it?
Right. No,
he didn't lose it.
No, I lost it.
No, you lost it, but it's not because you misplaced the data. It's what happened, bro.
Right.
Who corrupted what?
So yeah, I ended up having all this footage, and when I was trying to move it over to the hard drive to get things situated, something had went awry and got disconnected. So I said, okay. So I left it alone. I didn't touch anything. So I figured, all right, let me go into the camera and see, like, you know, what it still has there and stuff. And I saw it all there. So I was like, okay, everything's there. So when I went to go move it to the other hard drive, I moved it. And then when I went to go, I looked at the folder and I saw the files there. So I went to the camera and I deleted everything from there. And when I went over to the hard drive and grabbed the files, they kept coming up as corrupt, like they were incomplete. So I think what had happened was they were transferring behind the scenes, like in the little Windows box, and I didn't see it, and I disconnected it. You know what I'm saying? And
my God.
So like I ended up salvaging probably like out of like a 2-hour like session, I ended up salvaging like 15 minutes of it.
Oh my God.
But like the problem was I couldn't even put out the 15 minutes because it was like there was no context to what we were saying. You know, like I had clips of us doing and saying different things, but like there was no like you know, like you don't know what song we're talking about, you don't know what question I'm answering, you know what I'm saying? Like
that's horrible.
Yeah, so that happened.
You hear what Gabe is saying, Bunk, but here's the truth. We had this conversation and Gabe hated on me and he didn't want to put out the episode. So he conveniently corrupted his SD card.
Well,
right, Gabe?
Yep.
That's right. I've yet to see these recovered files or anything. I got no proof. Just this man word.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, though.
Side by side ever since.
Well, so me being the forgiving man that I am.
It was a little while. It was a little while later.
It took a little bit.
Yeah. It took a little while later. Because you're talking about when he came back with the idea for the podcast. So I was probably like, that was 18 when that happened. He came back in 19 with this. What I'm about to tell you.
So after he questioned,
after
he lost everything, what made you want to work with him?
Well, see, at that point, I'm like, he's a clown, right? I don't believe him. He unprofessional. Like, how you corrupting footage? I thought you used to be in IT. What you mean you deleted it during the transfer? It didn't make Bunky. It didn't make sense to me. All right. So
the math wasn't math.
I had to ask around. And what I heard was, nah, Gabe one of them ones. Gabe one of them ones. In all seriousness, though, I really wasn't upset. Things happened, but the conversation that we had was so free flowing and natural. For somebody I didn't know to be able to manage that and the conversation to be so easy going was like, yo, I recognize that he's good at this.
Right.
Because it wasn't like an interview. It wasn't like he was sitting there and he'd read a question and I would say an answer. It was more free flowing. It was
a conversation.
It was a good conversation. I was like, yo, I know we lost all that, but we should really like do this. And I had no interest necessarily in doing this. I just thought the conversation was so easy the way he went about it, and that it was we had good rapport on camera that it could work. So it wasn't just me showing up and saying we should do the show. I think I asked him like 5 different times. Right, Gabe?
Yeah, it was brought up a couple different times, but I think because you know, one of the things was in my mind was, you know, the equipment you would need, you know, and the way he broke the bank with me was like, he was like, yo, I just peeped some podcast with these bozos with 2 iPhones doing a show. They got 30,000 views on it. Like, we could set up a phone, right? That's literally what he said to me. And so that day I was like, all right, well then fuck it, let's just do it right now. We just
and literally we just walked over to the table and just quit live.
Yeah.
Well, iPhones do everything, right?
I mean,
well, the iPhone 6 wasn't that lit. It might have seemed lit back then, but it was kind of trash. So the video was horrible, but we got it done.
We did.
And y'all are here today.
Yeah,
well, I'm glad because, like I said, I like your show, your dynamics, the different things that y'all talk about. You start off with things that like get me in, and then y'all start talking about the music or whatever, and I'll be like, that's not me. But then I love the conversation. But let's get into where we need to go for tonight. So once again, my 10 questions that I started off with. What do you think? Does it sound cultish to you?
No.
What? No.
I was involved in a lot of debauchery growing up. I might need you to repeat these questions and let me gauge it again.
Okay, Lord.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolute authoritarianism without accountability.
Mm.
That sound cultish?
Sound like my job, but yeah.
Zero tolerance for criticism or questions.
Definitely dictatorship. That's
yeah.
Okay. Unreasonable fears about the outside world that often involve evil conspiracies or persecutions.
control.
Yeah.
Okay. A belief that former followers are always wrong for leaving and there is never legitimate reason for anyone else to leave.
Brainwash. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So as we go on, what do you think? Is MAGA, let me put my disclaimer on here, a cult? Yes.
Oh, snap.
I got my disclaimer. This is a conversation between us.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's go. I'm with it. Let's get it.
We're watching everything that's going on and having gone on since 2018. Let's go 2018, jump over to now. Is MAGA an out of control cult? Like I read what that guy said to the man who won. The mayoral position, the candidate to run in the primary, Zorin. But that guy wrote to him about him. The hate in the letter. These people just think they can say whatever they want. But you know what kills me with this letter, and I'm going to say it, and that's why I definitely have the disclaimer on the bottom. Because I'm really sick and tired of this. Y'all tell me, and this really wasn't the show, but we're going to get to my stuff.
Let's get
what
to it.
I'm sick and tired of is every time you feel as if someone's going against you or like this MAGA cult because they have their belief on who people are supposed to be, you're anti-Semitic. I am so over that because we deal with that here in the community. You can't say anything. You're anti-Semitic. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. I'm the most anti-Semitic person that I know. But yet, you can call me out because I say something against you or what you believe. But nobody says I do it now. Well, you're anti-Black. Because nobody's bugging because you're trying to take away the museums and you're trying to erase all our history and MAGA. See, I be bugging sometimes. I'm like, or am I bugging? This is the real thing, but nobody want to talk about it. Everybody want to act like ostriches, put your head in the sand and act like this is not going on around you.
That's true. I commend you, Bunky, for the efforts that you put in with the community and that you care about it. Because you clearly care about it. And I love that, you use the voice you have to speak on these topics. That's something that should be said. Get some flowers for that.
Thank you. I don't like it though, but somebody got to do it. Somebody has to say it.
I feel you.
You guys do it. I think sometimes what I love about you guys' show is like y'all can be talking. Gabe is always so calm. That's why y'all gotta go watch the show on Tuesdays on YouTube. Go follow what you're talking about. Gabe is always so calm and so mellow like this. And Black be going off. You be going off. And Gabe is like, I don't know if I should respond to this. It's like it's great. It is so.
I love that you love that. I do. But what you're talking about though, it's because people see this, nationwide, and it's so telling that it's all about the area you live in, right? So you deal with that anti-Semitic type rhetoric that's coming out, and that's because where you're at with that center,
Absolutely.
On this side where I'm at, I don't really deal with that. I'm dealing with just, the other side of the racism and prejudices that might be there, but it's not that. And it's just that for that community on your side, I feel like it's such a double whammy. It's like you're caught in a rock and a hard place almost, So at the end of the day, just being genuine with what you want and being for the people, not necessarily for a color, race, or nationality, you know what I'm saying? Just being a good Samaritan, a good human being, best foot forward, kill none, let none die type of mentality. I think that those type of people at the end should win, So keeping the thoughts pure and the movements pure, I think, is very important. And
Right.
And I just want to say out loud that somebody like you, if you're involved in it, I feel like you feel like those principles are there. So I just think that when you buy into something, that other people will follow, because they rock with you, and I don't think they will think that you would be involved with something that's not on the up and up. Because I know
that
basic, yeah, and especially because I know you guys dealt recently with some politician some locally was going awry, right? You was dealing with some real estate and all that. Yeah.
Listen, it's never ending here. It's really
Right.
never ending.
Right. I don't mean to laugh, but yeah.
No, but it is funny. It's really comical because if you don't laugh, you're gonna cry.
Right.
Really, that's the truth of it all.
I got you. But where we at? What do you want to talk about?
Okay. Well, we're gonna talk about the war. I want to talk about this war.
Okay.
This thing that's going on. Black, being veteran, military. Before we talk about the actual war, the fact that the Marines was deployed into California for peaceful protests. What is your feelings on that? Cultish?
It is a disgraceful overreach. If the city was burning, if the state was about to fall into the Pacific Ocean, Trump usurping the governor's authority and deploying military forces, okay, extenuating circumstances, that's when those things should take place. But literally for 100 people outside of one government building, you got to activate 300 troops. It's a problem. And it's almost like, I'm gonna tie everything together with what you just were talking about when it comes to anti-Semitism and how it's being managed in this country, and talk about MAGA being a cult and kind of loop it all together.
Okay.
Free speech is a tenet of this country, is it not?
It is.
Which amendment number is it?
I don't know.
It's the first.
I was gonna say, I was like, it's not the
one.
It's the one.
But that's been taken away since day one.
Isn't that the problem, though? Right? If that's literally the first thing that came to mind is, hey, before we come up with any other rules in this country, you should be able to say and feel whatever you want. Because under the crown, we couldn't do that, right? So in this country, the first tenet of our country is you have the ability to say whatever you want. And the fact that if you have an opinion about a war going on thousands of miles over the water, whether right, wrong, or indifferent, you get painted as anti-Semitic and you can be deported, right? It's crazy. The fact that people peacefully protesting in Los Angeles get the military deployed on them, and not directly, they were there to guard a building, but get deployed because of their feelings and voicing those opinions is crazy. It's a problem when the president of what's supposed to be the free world is stifling people's ability to say and do and feel what they feel. And the fact that not only those things, but you're also talking about pulling federal funding from universities of higher learning, right? Like Yale, for allowing people on campus to protest peacefully and saying, we're going to rescind your funding and we're going to deport your students because they're speaking out against something that we don't want them to, is a problem. And we should be just as appalled about that loss of freedom as we were when George Floyd lost his life. Because to me, they're neck and neck. It's the same thing. That is wrong. And my ability to speak shouldn't be tempered by a president.
But that's the cult.
I'm not a part of the cult. The thing about a cult is it operates as it operates. But if I didn't sign up,
no, you didn't sign up. But like all the people, some of the Republicans, and I hate Democrat, I hate that so much. But it's the Republicans because they're MAGAs, Republicans.
It's limiting,
yeah, they're in these positions, senates and all that. They're in positions in the states where they make these decisions. So even though you didn't sign up to be a part of the cult,
you're still dealing with it.
Yeah, you're still going to deal with it. Like either way,
all of us though.
It's insane. It's like I was watching today. Lord, and Lord forgive me for laughing, but I had to laugh. Because I'm like, you did this? Why you bugging? This lady in Missouri she was on the news and she was like basically crying because this big bill, Trump trying to pass this big bill, where they're gonna mess with people's Medicaid.
Yeah,
He
slash
was
it.
basically saying that this, it's her daughter's life on the line, right? Which it is when you deal with people with disabilities and you see, yeah, they need that Medicaid because regular insurance isn't going to pay for special treatments and special formulas and different things that people may need. So
Right.
she was in there, she was crying, and I hated the laugh, but I did only because. And then there was this older lady that they talked to also. Um, she was at the food bank, which hello, I'm going to one soon too. But I'm only laughing because they're in Missouri, which is a red state. Y'all voted for him.
Mm.
Like, this is what
Mm.
y'all wanted. Y'all thought he was just gonna go in and deport people and do what y'all wanted to do. Y'all forgot. I've been screaming from the beginning. He don't care about y'all. Hey,
Mm.
Chris, like he don't care about y'all. Y'all think he care about y'all. I mean, am I wrong? I was wrong for laughing though. It was
Nah,
kind of
nah.
messed up.
Funny,
Okay?
funny. Like we just gotta do what we
It
gotta
was
do.
funny. It was
Yeah.
hilarious to me because I'm like, you thought they was just you just thought they was coming for the blacks, with the hands, the blacks. Can't stand that man. Oh,
He said the
excuse me.
blacks with the jazz hands. That's funny.
Like, I can't stand that man. How do you feel about this war thing, Gabe?
um.
Which
Uh.
war?
Yeah.
Well, we have
There's,
you're right. There's so many.
There's
yeah.
so many.
There's so many going on, and you know what's crazy? Because I always go back to biblical, and it's all my wars in diverse places, world wars and rumors of wars, and we've always had wars. We've always had wars, but
Mhm.
like this is crazy. Do you think the most recent? Do you think that ear Trump, the fake
Mhm.
bullet ear?
Mhm.
'Cause he ain't get shot. We know he ain't get shot. Nobody heals that quick. Nobody does that, especially with
Wolverine.
thin skin. Don't nobody heal that quick.
Holyfield.
Well, he wore a real. He had to wear a real band-aid when Tyson took a bite out of that ear. But listen, but when you got thin skin, more stuff's gonna happen. But either way, do you think he was right and justified in jumping
For
into this Iraqi thing?
the Iranian thing, you mean?
Yeah,
With
the Iraq-Iran thing.
yeah. So Israel, Iran, right? That's what we're talking about.
Iraq is involved. They're all. It's like the three: Iran, Iraq, Israel.
So I'll speak on what I know it to be, and that whole situation. We've been big allies with Israel for a long time now. It's a very, very deep, complicated relationship. It goes back to simple things like positioning. You know what I mean? It goes back to a lot of money.
But that's the
Um,
root. It seems like right there.
well,
That's the root of
of
it.
course,
Money,
of course,
property.
of course. Well, it's all about location, location, location. That's
Mhm.
never gonna be a thing that's not considered in these type of situations, right? Because the positions you can take mean a lot more than what you might have in your garage to pull out. You know what I mean? If um, I'm sure Black understands what I'm saying there, but like for me, do I think he was justified in jumping into that? Uh,
Talking about he totally destroyed.
no, I
The
know, I know.
totally
My,
destroyed.
I think Trump always wants to show that he's got the upper hand. I think he wants to, puff his chest out and say America's the greatest thing, and he wants to make it great, as we all know. And I just think that he acts with a little bit of ego there. Do I agree that I don't want Iran with the capability of putting together nuclear weapons and the fact that they hate us, and it seems like that's the underlying tone and threat of it all, even though on the surface it's like, nah, we're putting together this uranium for this, not for weaponry, it's for this household items and this, that, and the third, this is for aspirin over here, and you know what I mean. I don't know. I want to feel safe. I don't want to say that I didn't feel safe before Trump decided to do that, though. You know what I mean? But I might be naive. I might not know, what's going on behind the scenes. So do I agree with it? Not really. But at the end of the day, I'm kind of thinking there had to be something behind that. There's a reason why that was a target, and why we did it. And it really, nobody really batted an eye about it.
Well,
We weren't
because
being
hello, wait
condemned
a minute.
anywhere.
We talk about batting eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we just go through what a cult is?
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about how this man can do whatever he wants to do. And they
Yeah,
don't
no, I
say
know.
nothing. They don't say It's out of control.
Right.
They don't say nothing. They co-sign everything he do.
I've always been a mind my business type of guy, so that's
Right.
why
Some
I'm,
things, yeah, mine take
you
their
know,
hold.
like,
Right.
so that's kind of where my default answer comes from. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I don't like the threat of having a World War III. And quite honestly, after discussing it with Black on our show this past Tuesday, you could catch
Mhm.
the replay right now. You know,
I love how you did that. That was
he
so
put
smooth. Catch
he
the
puts
replay
me
right now.
he put me at ease in a way, just simply explaining the position of power, the position of where the money's at, where, you know, it doesn't really make sense for certain countries to want to tango or mess up the relationship as it stands today. There's a lot of, money involved in all this stuff, uh the fact that that's their bread and butter. We're not going to deal with certain countries when it comes to a big fight. So I'm not as worried about World War III, to be honest, but I will say I'd much rather operate on the kill none, let none die. Let's just get along. If we can talk this out like men and just get it done.
You
I'm
know,
much more of that ilk. But what does
MAGA
Black
don't
think?
think like that.
No. Where you at with it, Black? You think he should have got involved and did that?
Instead of answering, let me flip it like this.
Okay.
How would you feel as an American if China flew 8 jets to us right now and dumped big bombs on our power plants because we were polluting the air too much and then left? How would you feel?
I don't like none of this.
Well,
Personally, I think they should just mind their own business.
Sure, but I mean, when you think about the uranium, see, I think the guys is that what they're doing could hurt us all by letting them do this. So I give you a different example. When you talk about the planet, we all share the same planet. There's no denying that. And global warming is out of control, right?
Out of control.
Out of control. And we are the biggest polluters, meaning the United States of America. So my question is, if another country just came over and just said, hey, you pollute too much, and blew up our power plants and then just left, how would you feel?
Violated. That's our right to pollute. But I wouldn't like that at all. I don't like it. I mean, you're watching. My thing with these wars is so many innocent people are dying, and they just like, oh well, casualty of war. It's like they just brush it off. No, these are lives. Like, you look at Gaza. What's going on like with Gaza and stuff? And like, wasn't Israel holding back food and people are starving to death? Like, over some property? Like, it's stupid to me.
Black, where were you going, Black, with that?
Right, because this is two different conflicts. So what happened with Iran is not the same as happening with Hamas and Israel. That's a completely different kind of fight.
Yeah.
My question of how would you feel if another country just came and exerted their will on you is what I'm saying.
It wasn't like that.
Right.
How would you feel, bro? Gabe?
I mean, we already know how I would feel about that.
When you ask me how I feel about this, I think that there's an element of I'm just a bully.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent. What gives you the right to just for no other reason, because you're not in a war, you're not fighting them. It's Israel and them. They've been fighting for 100+ years, right? And they're going back and forth. We get involved to go drop a big bomb and say, look, my stick is bigger. Now y'all stop fighting.
Right.
That to me is crazy. And it's the reason why countries in that area of the world hate us. They call us the world police because we get involved in everybody else's conflicts.
We don't take care of our own.
And don't take care of our own business.
That part.
So I'm not taking the stance of Iran because it may sound like that when I started. I'm taking the stance of I can get how people be like, y'all should really just stop. And Trump ran on a platform, believe it or not, of isolationism, taking care of home first, closing the borders, stop being involved in other words. And the first thing he does and says, I'm gonna force Putin to stop doing this to Ukraine. Didn't happen.
No.
Didn't happen. I'm gonna bring peace to the Middle East in 100 days. Didn't happen. You already dropped in the biggest bombs that we've ever created outside of nuclear fusion bombs. So like, he is full of caca, poo-poo,
garbage.
Garbage. So that's that. Now on another front, you asked about Hamas and the war that we can't talk about or we'll get deported. Here's what I'm gonna say.
Right.
My stance has been I'm gonna keep talking about it the way I feel talking about it, and I dare
Uh-huh.
you to deport me. Right? I dare you to deport me. I'm born here. I'm a citizen here. I fought for this country. My opinion is my opinion, and right is right and wrong is wrong.
Right is
This
right
is
and
how I
wrong is
feel.
wrong. But
And
people are afraid
this-
to speak against the cult.
This is not Bunky's opinion or Gay's opinion. This is my opinion, and I would tell y'all this. Yes, defending yourself should be allowed.
Mhm.
But even in the act of war, we have something called the Geneva Convention. And that convention states that you should not do extra harm. And when you're acting from a defensive standpoint, you should meet that defense with an equal or lesser force. Here's what that means. If a force moved into the region and was shooting at you with handguns, you cannot retaliate by dropping missiles on them. That's called excessive force. If somebody shoots you with a handgun, you can't turn the tank and shoot a 50 millimeter shell at them. That's excessive force. I say that to say this. Did Hamas attack Israel? Yes. Did Israel respond to Hamas? Yes. After that response, and they could no longer harass, could no longer be a threat to them, you spent the next year and a half committing what we call genocide in any other form. Indiscriminate killing of civilians, destruction of territory and land, because what they really want is for them to leave that land so they can have the entire piece of land to themselves. And that's the thing that's so disgusting to me. The loss of life so that you can say you control this 2-mile block of land is nasty.
That's disgusting.
It's nasty. And in 40 years, when them people making these decisions are dead, you don't own the land. The land is still here. You're in the dirt. And we're killing thousands and thousands of people. Defend yourself. But at a certain point, it's no longer defense. It's overkill.
Right.
Yep.
I feel you. And Mr. Man's talking about building resorts. Building resorts. Oh, he's such a loser. Oh my God. Anyway. I can't. You think that, like me, I'm the average American. I don't really know what's going on. I know a little bit. But do you think the average American knows what's going on? See, I only get my little parts. Like when I'm driving to the gym, I listen to NPR News. Get a different view of what's going on, which I think is amazing. But I think that's why EAR wants to stop NPR News, because it's giving us news from around the world in real time and what's going on and what it really looks like and what people really think.
So y'all got to 1 second. Be right back.
Okay.
So it's like they're trying to silence us and limit our intake. That's that cult mess.
Right. You know what you asked me, if do I think Americans know what's going on? And I would say yes. I would say yes, they do, but they might only know what, Fox News or ABC News in the morning is giving them, and that news is so high level and so like it can be steered to appear one way or the other so easily that I think a lot of people just end up being sheep and just thinking one way and not even bothering to do like the real research that they should do when they hear. I try to treat the news as like topics that maybe I need to dive into more to see what's going on there. If it's not just the unfortunate shooting or building collapse or whatever happened in the city next, there's certain topics that, might interest me about, they might say something about like when the whole airlines things was going on, I like started doing my own research on that and trying to figure out like what's going on with that. Because there was like a little bit more than what they were presenting in the news.
The filter part.
Yeah, you get a real watered down version of what's really going on with that. So I think that most Americans might feel like they're informed, but if you were to really quiz and get into it, I don't think that we know what's going on. And quite honestly, I think I'm on the side of, I might just have the watered down version of a lot of things and might not really have the real scoop on things. I'm not scared to say it. I think I am probably part of that a little bit because, Bunk, I don't know about you, but like at some point you gotta just say, I gotta live.
Yeah. That's why I rarely watch news. I can't
it's like I gotta live. Like I know the world is foul. I know there's a bunch of weird things going on, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I only get my little, hopefully I get these 75 years on earth and I could do something with it and have, I want to enjoy it as best I can. So it's like, sometimes ignorance is bliss, man. It's sad to say sometimes, but it's kind of true. You know what I mean? It's kind of true, especially when you're somebody that is passionate, who, like I care a great deal about the environment. I care a great deal about animals. You know what I mean? I care a great deal about being like a good like human being. You know what I mean? So like when you have those type of values, it's not always so easy to turn it all off and not be affected by it. I can't, it's like there's been so many times where, the mood is different now because I read this story or I'm aware of this happening in this city. And, and it, it's like you feel like you're helpless because you really can't help the way that's necessary to change the things that you might not like that are going on, so yeah, man, I think a lot of people, they might not admit it because like what I love about Black too is that like he'll purposely act ignorant about things or just being, boisterous and loud, what I'm saying, and crazy, only for you to make the mistake that he don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? And it's like,
then he goes in.
Yeah, I love how, like, because he likes to read and stuff, he's like, he gets insightful about things. So like he has a deeper understanding of situations that interest him than the regular person's gonna have. You know what I mean? So like I like that he brings that to the table. But I don't think a lot of people are like him, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to that. I think they're more like me where they get the watered down news. They hear what they hear, they latch on to what they latch on to and kind of just go with the flow, and unless it's something that really like intrigues me. And nowadays, if it's not really about battle rap, you know what I'm saying, or Madden 26, I don't really care. So I'm not diving into it. You know what I'm saying?
And so, speaking of diving into, let's get off this war.
Okay.
Let's talk about Diddy. Okay. Did he do it? Yes, he did. But the thing is,
tired of Diddy Bunk.
Well, you
I don't talk about
Diddy. What's to talk about? You said he did it.
No, Diddy did it. Diddy did it. We know Diddy did it.
But Diddy did all that.
I watched you guys in that first when they first started talking about it, right? Even like with Sean, I had this conversation. Y'all going talking about it, and Black is like, he's not going to be found guilty because the stuff that they're charging him with. Yeah, y'all going, and I'm like, no, he did it. I'm like real extra with it, right? So after day 2, I like tuned out because I was like really over it. And what you guys were saying made a lot of sense, and I get it now. The crimes that he was charged with don't fit with what was being presented.
Right.
So everybody being in an uproar that things were dropped or whatever. True, he had some extra. He's extra with what he does. Is he wrong? Yeah. Is he a creep? Absolutely, he's a creep. Is he a bottom feeder? Yes, he is. But at the end of the day, those weren't the charges against him.
There you go.
And my heart goes out to Cassie and his other victims because they were victims of this man.
Bunk, that's your stance? You feel like they just unequivocal victims?
I do, but see, there's things with it, Black, with me, the way I look at it. Okay.
Hold on. Before you go any further, I'm sorry to cut you off because I just want to make sure. Have you been following the whole thing?
No,
like you've been.
I can't. It's too graphic for me.
So like, because that plays a big part into how you feel about it. You know what I'm saying? So like, because I've been following it. I know Black, he got tired of it, I think, but he's still watching it because he had information that you wouldn't have unless you was watching.
I'm tapped. I know what's going on.
So he knows what's going on. So I just want to say that to you because like, if you really in tune with it, you get a little bit different perspective with it all. But go ahead.
My thing, when I say, was she a victim? Yes, because I'm almost always, a lot of times I'm biased. I'm almost always going to take who I think is the victim side. And and I call her victim because people say, well, why did she stay there? Yeah, pop out of there. Yeah, it's crazy, but it's not, why did she stay? I think number one, she was young, like the Aaliyah, like the age difference, right? She was young. She thought she was going to come up and you know how them young girls think, just like them young girls that go back to them, and young guys that go back to these hotel rooms with these artists with a dream in their mind, right? Thinking that they're gonna come up and be the next Beyonce, Jay-Z, right? And she stayed in it, and she's getting abused and getting beat down, and he's taking care of her needs, but yet she's staying in this situation. I still think the things that he did to her, and it doesn't matter that she said yes and was calling the other dudes, right? She was calling the other dudes and paying some of the other dudes, right? Was some of this stuff going on? She was, see, I know some of it. I listen to y'all. That's the only way I know y'all and CEO. But it was also said, she said that if she felt as if she didn't do this, he was going to leave her and choose somebody else. That's the mind of a young girl. Like, she likes this guy or girl or whatever. She's in an abusive relationship. They're taking care of her. She loves her so much that some people are just willing to do whatever.
See,
and that's what I got from her.
When you make that point though, Bunk, I'm sorry. When you make that point, you literally make my point for me. Someone saying, okay, this relationship is toxic and abusive, but I refuse to let you go to another woman
all the time.
But what I'm saying, like, we're talking about criminal acts. We're not talking about whether something's right or wrong, right? So part of this stuff that's coming out is things like, I felt like if I didn't do these things, he would leave me for another woman. Sounds to me like, relationship wise, I want to be here no matter if he's kicking my ass or not. And whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent, that is you making a choice, not being held hostage, not being forced. You're saying, I want this lifestyle, I want this man, and he will clearly let me go, but I don't want to leave.
But did he want to let her go though? Because he did grab her. Did he want to let her go, or he wanted to keep her?
I know your show ain't as long as some of the shows.
I can do whatever I want to do. It's my show.
That's what's up.
Okay.
I don't want to go super deep, but it's already been peeled back that if you're talking about the video footage, no, he didn't force her to stay. She literally left 5 minutes after that video was taken. And he wasn't trying to stop her. Yeah.
That Diddy like really just rolls off the tongue, don't it? Like, Diddy.
Yeah. I have a slightly different take on that, like, because I think you put up with what you're willing to put up with, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
But I do feel like there was this overbearing personality and lifestyle being hung over a young girl unjustly. You know what I'm saying?
The power dynamic.
I do.
But we don't prosecute nobody else for doing that. So
no, I'm not.
You're a regular dude out here in the streets. You got more money than your girl.
I'm not saying he got to go to jail for that. I'm just
what
saying,
I'm saying is that we don't prosecute that though, bro.
No,
I understand your point, but we don't prosecute that.
I understand that, but I'm just saying that I would probably more agree with Bunky that this is a situation where she didn't just up and leave because she felt at one point or another she felt like she couldn't leave. Like, she could physically walk away, but there were going to be consequences for that.
Absolutely.
And she wasn't willing to deal with it. I believe that. But, you know, the thing is like, what I set this off with saying was that you only going to tolerate what you're willing to tolerate. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I can tell you that I know women today might be in this house that if they don't like how they're being treated, you're going to know about it and you probably never going to see her again. You know what I'm saying? So like, and that's the truth. You know what I mean? So it's almost like it's ill. And it's like, it's just how humans are. Because, you know, what Black is saying is absolutely true. You know what I'm saying? But on the other hand, what we're saying, you and I, is true too. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's this bad combination. Right. You know what I mean? And it's super unfortunate. And the thing is that if you wanted to place blame on somebody in that situation, you're gonna look at Puff as the one, the instigator and the creator of the situation. Then you're gonna blame her for staying in it.
Right. I just feel like we're prosecuting their relationship.
Yeah, that's not fair.
It's so murky and it's so muddy. I don't want to be involved. It's the relationship that they chose to be in, no matter what you think about the dynamics. And that's my only problem with this whole thing. This is not for the federal government should be spending millions of dollars to figure out whether Puff was a good boyfriend to Cassie or not, and then wrapping it up in this sexual trafficking.
Well, that's the point, right? It's the only reason why it got here is because of the racketeering.
Right.
Right.
This is dumb.
But Bunky, let me ask you, do you have you followed it enough to know if have a opinion on if they're going to convict him on the sex trafficking part of this whole thing?
No.
Okay.
I was over it. I was like really over it because it's just like I said, it's just too much.
I want to know that's one charge that I'm super curious of, because I do think that they have pretty solid evidence. I mean, pretty much everybody said it at one point or another. They were driving people to go. They were driving people to go get down. So the whole transportation with the intent for prostitution, they kind of got him on that. So that's the one I think he's going to go for.
But you don't need jail time for that charge, though, Gabe. I'm saying he might even
5 years. 5 years.
What I'm saying is, though, he'll get a suspended sentence. You got to think about what I'm saying. I'm not saying he won't be convicted. I'm saying that he's not going to be in jail when this is done.
But listen, but like you were saying, like Gabe, women that will walk away. See, I'm one of them women that we're not doing the hands on. We're not doing that.
Right.
Right. But I know someone who was in an abusive relationship and she wanted to leave, and when she finally tried to leave, right? When she finally tried to leave, she was with this dude for years. When she finally tried to leave, he took her life. See, so you don't know what's going through somebody's head. You don't know.
Right. No, I would never try to. Right.
Yeah. So it's just he's a bottom feeder. I don't care. But do you think he can come back? Let's say he gets out. Whenever he gets out.
I asked everybody this last week. Yeah.
Do you think he'll?
Yeah. Life goes on.
Yeah. I think life goes on. Yeah.
I think most people see this for what it is. Like I said, even if my personal feeling, I think sometimes what I do is I try to remove my complete personal bias from a topic, right? Like this. And I look at things for what they are. And right or wrong or indifferent, it's just my opinion. And I feel like literally we're prosecuting their bedroom.
Right.
That doesn't
That's
say
basically
that
what they're doing. Right.
Then that doesn't say that he wasn't physically abusive. He absolutely was. So charge him for it. Oh, we're not going to do that.
They're not doing that.
This is not what the RICO statute was for. So I'm not here for it. And that's I made that point to Gabe several times on our show. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Black People Time, where we talk about the podcast. Thank you. But I have no problem with somebody going to jail for the things that they've done.
Right.
I don't like them trying to stretch the law book to get Diddy. Charge him for what he did or don't.
Right. Or leave it alone. Okay. All right. But that's enough about Diddy because I'm sick of Diddy. I've had enough. Listen. Tyler Perry.
Ooh. We didn't talk about this.
Tyler Perry is churchy, so I was going to bring him up. I love.
Is he? You love him?
No. I was going to say that because Tyler Perry always got the side eye. He really always like, he's a little suspect. But, it's whatever. The Medeas and all his stuff, I love all of his stuff. I'm not even going to lie. I do. Okay. So when this came up, did it surprise me? No. I'm just surprised it took so long. But the guy, Derek Dixon, is suing him for $260 million for sexual assault. $260 million. Now, this guy, Derek Dixon, I've seen him and on his plays. Been in his plays, Tyler Perry plays. He was in the Oval. He was in Ruthless. And he thought that he was going to really come up and be like, I don't know the guy's name on Zatima, the one that plays Zachary. Like Zachary is like up there now because he has his name isn't Zachary, but he plays the character Zachary, and he's like moving on up in there. So I don't know if this is what he thought was going to happen to him, but he got a little side eye too. Like when I see him in the plays, I'm like, he's a little suspect, So it's like this going on, the notes, the text messages, and he says now he can prove it. What makes you guys? Do you guys know why he probably just coming out now? What made him hold back? Like, y'all know about this, right?
He broke. He ran out of bread. He broke. He needs some money. He ran out of bread. He's running out of money, and he needs some money. And he's
not saying Tyler. He's saying, oh boy.
Yeah. Derek. He broke. He down bad. And those checks is running out. that he got from doing his shows and his plays, and he needs some more coin. I read these text messages, and to me,
did you really? I didn't read the text messages.
I read every single text message. I'm that dude. I be in, like, when they be messy, I needs the mess so I can make an opinion about my mess. You feel me?
Okay.
And this is clearly, like, this is not a one-sided thing where Tyler is pursuing him and he's like, ha ha ha, and uncomfortable. This is stuff like one of the text messages, no lie.
Is it too much?
Says,
wait, is it too much?
No, it won't be graphic.
Okay.
Tyler is like, hey, when you sent me that picture to Derek, I was a little jealous with you with this other guy. Right. And he's like, yeah, I know, it wasn't really like that. I just had to kind of go. I felt obligated to go. And then Tyler says, well, you look really good in those jeans you had on. He's like, yeah, I know, I always wear those because I show well in those jeans. Ha ha ha. I figured you like that. See, that conversation sounds like these are two men who have a rapport already, not somebody being pursued.
Yeah.
You way too comfortable when you're talking about it like that and saying you sent him pictures that because you wanted to turn on Tyler Perry with your package and your jeans. So this is not you being pursued in a power dynamic. You're now saying that because that gravy train is slowed up, I'm gonna try to now entrap you. And that's how I looked at this. Now, I will say this and I will leave it alone.
Okay.
He may have been a victim somewhere down the road, but at a certain point in time, like, you made a decision that you was down for whatever was happening. And I don't like people that pick and choose. If you've been a victim, you don't turn into an accomplice and then try to victim out again when the money stops.
Right.
You put a gun to my head and say, yo, Black, we finna rob this bank. When I walk there with the gun to my head, I'm a victim. The minute I start saying, yo, I'm planning the next heist, I'm an accomplice now. I don't stop being a victim, but I am absolutely an accomplice, by the way, which is my whole thing when it comes to Cassie. But I'm gonna leave that alone. Derek Dixon ran out of bread. Tyler Perry wasn't messing with him no more. He need a bag. He ain't been on the show since like 2022, whatever the case may be. And I think this is a shakedown. And $220 million for you flirting with Tyler Perry is ridiculous.
It is. He probably tried to extort him first, and Tyler Perry wasn't going for it.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think that started right there. And then he probably talked to a lawyer, and the lawyer was like, nah, we could probably do this. And the lawyer sees dollar signs, so they'll what do you call that? Defamation of character. I don't know why is it that, like, that's kind of crazy that you can just go get a lawyer, come up with some crazy thing and just accuse. I could just accuse Black of some old wildness and go public with it. Like,
my lawyer hungry. Go ahead, try that.
You know what I'm saying? And then you got to spend bread and get your, you know what I'm saying, just to combat that. But the word is out. Before the lawyers get to me, the word is out. You know what I mean? That's crazy that's how it works. Similar to like with Jay-Z and all that. I think it's just that when I don't know if it's me or the world, but I think we look at it differently too when it's not a woman accusing of
it's a lot of sexism.
You know what I'm saying? I think there's some sexism involved there too, but we're not as sensitive to it for whatever reason. But like, I think it's just a money grab. But it is just yet another piece of evidence that, Hollywood, man, the upper echelons of Hollywood is just really gay. Like,
what?
Gabe, this is Tea Time with Bunky. This is not what we're talking about, bro.
Well, that's why I say gay and not the other way. I can say.
Like looking at them sideways, like they're really out of control. They're really,
There's something up with Hollywood, man.
Yeah, Hollywood is out of control. They really, really are. Nobody want to work. They just want to sue everybody. Everybody's getting sued between Hollywood and politicians. This world is a mess.
It's like what Rec Boy Shot said, "Pay me too" movement.
They getting sued or they humping.
Yeah,
one or the other.
And then they hump, and then they want to sue about it. That's what's happening.
They want to sue. Correct.
No, I'll get to that in a minute. We're gonna get ready to do like the final vibes. No, before we do the final vibes, before we do that, I want to do my quick factor cap. Okay,
let's do it.
I got 5. Just so y'all know, I got 5. I do got to go do something right quick. I'm sorry.
I didn't realize that. Okay,
so Black, go first then.
Tyler Perry's $260 million lawsuit proves no Hollywood mogul is untouchable anymore. Factor cap.
Cap. That was already proven when Epstein went down.
Facts. That's true. That's true. Oh, wait, there was other one. The U.S. government is pouring more into foreign wars right now than investing in healing communities here. That's a fact.
Is the key word in this sentence right now, meaning like it's a new thing?
No, it's not a new thing, but we're looking
Okay.
at the right now because they're trying to strip everything. So security, Medicaid, everything like that. They're trying to strip what I'm gonna supposed to be getting soon, and I've been pouring into since I was 14. They're trying to take it.
Bunky, 21-year-olds cannot collect Social Security. Stop that.
I will be 55 in 2 weeks.
She's out here. You capping. She's out here capping.
Nowhere around this. You hear this? These are all lies, y'all.
It's all lies.
I'm
Don't believe
so
nothing you
excited.
hear
It's
on this show.
No, okay, I got one more. Diddy's legal battle is only the beginning. Soon more industry icons are going to be exposed. They've been being exposed, I think.
He ain't the last one. That's a fact.
Yeah, but he also ain't the first. You know what I mean? Like everybody getting it right now.
Yeah.
When they got Bill Cosby, I was like,
yeah.
When they tried to come after Smokey.
Right. So that's what I was gonna say. I was like, once the biggest celebrity can be called out, like the one that you would have thought never would have anything like that, here he is. Mr. Huxtable is in here in jail for slipping pills and all that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
If America's black dad can go down, everybody can go down.
That's the key word too. He's the black dad.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes a difference. All right. Chris wanted you to talk about your album. You putting out an album?
I don't even know what Chris talking about. I don't know what Chris talking about.
Cat did tell us. Cat Williams did tell us all this. Anyway,
what you talking about, Chris? I'm retired.
We talking about Remy too, man. Stop playing. King BlakOut and Remy Hendrix out of Middletown. Are y'all doing Remy Black 2 is the question. Stop playing.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we asking about. See, good question, Bunky.
Yeah,
Chris asked it. I wouldn't have known.
Good job, Chris.
Good job, man.
Shout out to you.
Was it a secret?
Huh?
Nah, it's not a secret. You know what it is? I'm gonna tell you, Bunk, because sometimes your friends be your worst enemies. So we had a conversation on our show 2 days ago. Shout out to What We Talk About the Podcast, 7 p.m. New York, Black people time. Where there was this prevailing thought that while I may be a good rapper, I wasn't as good as the upper echelon from my region, and that putting out this certain project with another killer on the mic would prove that.
The worst.
And the conversation revolved around the fact that nobody had much to say afterwards, Bunky, because I'm as good as I thought that I was, and now they want another opportunity to critique me to see if I'm not as good. Yeah.
I manage Black, but he against each other. Chris manages you? No. Why did I believe that? I'm so gullible.
That's all, Bunk. They want me to put out albums so they can talk bad about me. They think I'm gonna put out some bad work.
All right. That's not cool, y'all. That's
Bunk, you know how Michael Jordan used to need like some fodder, some ish talking to like get pumped up for the next game. This is what you're witnessing in real time with this gentleman right here.
I didn't ask the question.
He just says these things to himself, and then he gets off mic. He believes it. He sits down in his room. He puts on a beat, and he's like, and then he like 12 lines of fire, and he just leaves it there, and he goes about his business, and he comes back a little bit later. Starts saying things. He starts walking around the house going, I ain't the best of Newburgh. How I ain't the best of Newburgh? Like,
Never do that.
What is dog walking? What is dog walking?
That just means that you beat somebody very bad.
Oh,
like
okay.
they following you around. They're your son.
Oh, okay. All right. Look, before I let y'all go, we're gonna do real quick. When you do you guys feel that you have a responsibility to the culture with your podcast?
Yeah, Black.
Oh, me first. I have a responsibility to be my authentic self. Not to the culture unabashedly. My responsibility is to be me and to speak my truth. And my voice should be for people who want to be okay with being them. I think the social media society that we live in today, and clearly by Instagram and TikTok and all this other stuff, people feel like they have to put on a facade. You can only talk about things a certain kind of way. You got to look a certain kind of way. You got to present a certain kind of way. And I'm not that. I'm me. I'm who I am. And I will take the opposite position in a conversation. And I'll agree with Gabe as an example in my heart. But I want to talk about the other point of view because no one wants to talk about that point of view. You see what I mean?
Right.
And
Yeah.
I that's how I look. So I think my responsibility, first and foremost, is to me, and by being real to myself,
Be true to you.
Then I am respecting the culture, and I am breathing life into what we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. So from my point of view, I feel like I'm contributing to the culture with Finally TV as a platform. Like I brought it to the 845 as a platform to shed that light on those who deserve it that aren't getting it. Even if my light is just a pen light, it's still an appreciation and it's still there for everybody to see. Right. So in that way, I feel like a contributor to the culture in that way, like kind of keeping it going, even if I'm just, the springboard for the idea, because, we've seen a lot since Finally TV came along, right? So I feel like the inspirations that I've made across the way are good, right? And it gets everybody kind of talking and titillating and, wanting to have a platform to have people on to put a spotlight on them, right? They didn't want that before. They want that now. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of that is contributed to what Finally TV has done, So in that way, I feel like I owe this.
Doing too much. I'm sorry.
In that way, I feel like, I gotta do my part to keep the culture going. When it comes to the show, I feel like Black does. And I feel like that's why the show has lasted for 7 seasons, because, there is no censoring, there is no posturing there. It's a lot of truths. And that's the thing is like what he just said, right? If there's an opinion on something and we happen to have the same opinion on it, he'll just pivot, and take the other stance and just argue that point with me back and forth for the sake of a conversation. That's not being fake. That's giving 2 sides of the story. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I feel a responsibility to just always present myself the way I am and how I really feel, because in my estimation, right, like I'm in front of the camera right there, 7:00 Tuesday, Facebook, YouTube, what we talking about, right? But
Plug.
but outside of that time, I'm walking around. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm part of the community. You know what I'm saying? I might pop up in Poughkeepsie or Newburgh or Beacon or, West Point. I pop up. You'll see me. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like I need to conduct myself in front of the camera the way I'm ready to conduct myself in front of people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't ever want to be called out and then, I'm something different like that. That to me is just, that's, that's a loss right there, that you're taking an L right there, and I don't want that. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I do feel a some sort of responsibility, but only to present what I really feel, you know what I mean? And how, I want to be perceived, But yeah, that's it, man. What we talking about? Let's get it.
All right.
Shout out to you, Bunky.
Thank you. Thank you. Just doing me, keeping it real, Tell the people where they can find you and everything before I let you go.
I know you got to go Black, so go ahead.
Oh man, King BlakOut, KING_BLAKOUT on all the platforms. That's me. You'd also catch us at What We Talking About on Finally TV, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all those things, 7 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday from sometime in the spring to sometime almost in the winter. Like it's around there. You're gonna find us there.
And if they miss it, they can catch your old episodes.
You can always catch the old episodes on the replay. And shout out to my man Gabe, bro. We got 7 in this. I'm looking forward to 55 more because you said you're trying to get out here at 75. I'm trying to see you live at least 76. You feel me? Give me another year, bro. And Bunky, thank you so much for having us on. You are the queen of this thing. You are the queen of what you're doing. You are a queen in your own light. You know what I mean? So big king, big queen. I see the vibe. I see the energy. We appreciate you and your perspective and what you bring to this space.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you run over to YouTube more. Instagram, Facebook, but YouTube more. Tuesdays at 7 p.m. You really want to see the vibe and the connection. I'm sure you will love it. I love everything about it. They're shocking. They're vibing. all the good stuff, and they keep it 100. So you guys tune into them on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Tune in to Tea Time with Bunky on Thursdays at 7 p.m. YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And shout out to In the Studio with the Rec Boys. You can catch them on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. So you got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We got it on lock. So you got, yeah, I'm saying. So you guys go there, catch us out, like, share, follow, and subscribe. Tell a friend and tell a friend. I appreciate you. See you next week. Be kind.